Sometimes you feel like you can't face another day.
In 2010, a documentary called Don't Cry For Me, Sudan was an unexpected hit here in South Korea. It told the story of a Catholic priest named John Tae-sok Lee, who devoted years of his life serving the village of Tonj in South Sudan. Father Lee did incredible work, treating leper patients, building a hospital, building a school, and even forming a 35-piece brass band of young students. But sadly, the film also showed Father Lee suddenly passing away from cancer. However, his legacy lives on. Several students he taught, inspired at the school he founded, have grown up and gone on to achieve their own remarkable achievements. I'm honoured to welcome on the show today Athuai Albino Madhieu, who is now a journalist in South Sudan, and Benjamin Guarken Chiman, who has now become a doctor like Father Lee. They're in Seoul as part of a follow-up documentary on how those people inspired by Father Lee have carried on with their lives. I'd like to say welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you for bringing us here inside.
Thank you for having us.
So is this your first time in Korea? How have you been finding it? Let me start with you, Albino.
It's actually my first time to be in Korea, and it's very, very wonderful to be here. The place is nice, it's developed, and actually my first time to see a country that's developed like South Korea, especially Seoul. So I'm very, very happy to be here to see how people build up their own country, because I also read about the history of South Korea before.
Benjamin, how is it seeing Father Lee's motherland as such? Did you know much about Korea? Did you talk about it?
Well, it's my first time actually in South Korea, and then it's a nice place, a wonderful land with wonderful people that are so welcoming, people that are so hospitable. We receive a very good welcoming. The same thing like how Father Lee was treating us when he came to Tony. The same thing, this is what we found when we came exactly to his motherland. It's a wonderful place that was built by wonderful people. So I really like the place, and I'm really excited to be here.
Albino, can you tell me how you first met Father Lee?
I met Father Lee in 2000. He came from Kenya in 2000. I was a very young boy. I was like 10, 11 years. So I met him in Tonj. He came as a brother. Then he promised us that he will go back to Kenya or even South Korea, and he will come back and work with us and support us, because those days we sometimes go naked, and then no food sometimes. So we normally follow him, because he used to stay with the missionaries at the mission center facility. So in every evening we make sure that we come and sit with him. He talked to us, he gave us basketball, we play without court, then he gave us some biscuit to eat, and in the evening we go back home. So that was in 2000. And then the promise didn't went wrong. He came back again in 2001. This is where he came and he started to establish a small tent where he started now teaching mathematics, and then they built small tukul houses made out of grass as a clinic. So that's the time that I actually came and met him, and that was the year he put me in the school.
Right. What kind of person was he to you?
Father Lee is like a father to me, and sometimes I can tell it is like a god, because he loves everyone. He doesn't differentiate people. Because in where we came from in Tony, we have different tribes, or in South Sudan we have different tribes, and there was a war by then. So Father Lee loved everyone. Yeah.
What about you, Benjamin? What kind of person was Father Lee to you?
Well, to me, Father Lee was an amazing person. He was a loving person, because he could play with all people. He could play with young kids, because by then I was very small. So he had no boundaries. He was a person that has love in his own heart. So he could just joke with anyone, despite the difficulties that were going on. Because by then, the North Sudan was fighting with South Sudan. There were antelopes bombing people everywhere. People were fighting. But for him, he kept encouraging us that the future is great. He studied hard, and then he kept on teaching us how to play music, how to play football, and then teaching us every time. So for him, he was really a mentor. He was a person who could see into the future, a person who could create hope, a person who could create a smile in a place where it has been lost.
Right. Sudan was war-torn, and it's one of the most terrible states during the time Father Lee went. Could you have imagined that you would go to a school and then become a reporter at that time, Albino?
I was not having a hope of me getting education, became a journalist now to support my country. What hope that I was having was like I get education, a little education, and I joined the army. So that I joined our rebel movement that was fighting against Khartoum government. That was what was in mind. But through Father Lee, I made it now, supporting my country with my voice. See.
Without Father Lee, what do you think would have happened to you?
Either I was killed by the Sudanese armed forces, or I might be a military person. I'm not a journalist now. Yeah.
Was there things like a school like the ones he built back then in your village?
Yeah, the school that he built was built in Tonj, and then all of us were there. And I made it until I finished my primary 8 in the school that he built, and I was a member of the brass band, the first group that was formed. I was a member of the brass band, and then in 2007, I finished my high school, and then 2008, I went to Khartoum, and that was actually my last time to see him.
Right. This brass band we keep mentioning is not just a band, though, was it? It was the band inspired the kids to appreciate music and to enjoy life, and also the teaching about order and all these kind of things. Would you agree, Albino? You said you're part of the band.
Because it is true, because the band was keeping us to be in the school. Because Father Lee came to Korea and sent in he brought with him the instrument that we used to play. Because after the school, it will give us two hours to go and change your uniform, and then you come back to the mission where you used to stay. So when you come, he will give you some biscuits, and then he teach you how to play the instrument. So it's keeping us to be at least okay. Otherwise, we would have been even street children. But through that musical instruments kept us to be always in the school and always be near to him.
Benjamin, were you part of the band as well?
In fact, before the band was formed officially, it started with the flute that they blow. Actually, I remember it was under a mango tree. I think we're around 6 of us. One now is here, 2 are here already in South Korea. Thomas Taban and John Mayan, and then plus other 4 guys. And then afterward, now it was having, I think, 1 flute that I used to teach us with. And then after that, now it becomes a big band whereby students were now called, and then they were recruited. I didn't continue myself because I was busy in the church. I used to help him in the church, and then sometime in the hospital. And by then I used to keep cattle, so my timetable was a bit hard, so I couldn't continue with the band. So I had to help him in the hospital and then the church work, and I was looking after the cattle while I continued to study.
That time helping out in the hospital, is that what inspired you to become a doctor?
Definitely, because when Father Lee went to Tony, I used to help him in the church. I wanted to become a priest, but then afterward, when I saw him, he was a priest, but then he would be in the hospital. People would come because he was the only priest, he was the only doctor in Tony. And by then, a medical doctor, he was the only one. We had only some nurses who are actually not well trained, and then he could treat all type of people. You could imagine, as one doctor, he was treating pregnant mothers, people with the leprosy, which is known as the ancient disease. So he was going to clean their wounds. He was not afraid to treat them, though some people were really afraid to treat them. So when I saw like that, then I saw to help humanity, I should be like him. I had to become a doctor like him, so that I help him. I wanted to work with him side by side. It is unfortunate that he's not here with us today. I would have been very happy if he were here, so that he sees me becoming a doctor. I think he would have been very happy, so that I learn more from him. So he inspired me by treating sick people and by giving all his life. So you could imagine one doctor, he was never asleep at all. He would wake up during the daytime, during the night time. There was some point myself I used to be sick. So I would come at night, knock his door, say, "Father, I'm sick." Then he would come, then give me some injection. So he was never sleeping at all. As one doctor in a community that was more than 20,000 or 30,000.
Right. When you treat patients now, you must think of Father Lee a lot.
Definitely. Whenever I treat patients, then the image of Father Lee comes to my own mind. He smiles. When he treats the patient, it comes to my own mind. And then I always wish that he were present, he was alive, so that he could see that I'm doing what he's doing, and I could learn more from him.
Albino, I want to ask you, you go back to your village, Tonj, quite a lot now still, right?
Yes, I used to go.
How do we still see his influence in your village? Do we still see like perhaps some of the facilities he made or some of the people he influenced?
Actually, 3 weeks ago I told you that I was in Tonj. I actually went up to where he used to treat the lepers myself. I went there. I found some patients already dead, and I managed to find some alive. Even I contributed some money to them because Father Lee legacy is still alive. So though he's dead, we are his children and we are still alive. So we need to make sure that we continue delivering the good services to the people that used to do. So I was there 3 weeks ago, and the influence is still there. Now they are praying all the time. There's no day they can sleep in Tonj without people praying for Father Lee. You see, and everyone in Tonj wanted to come and see the grave of Father Lee, but there's no way they can do it because of distance.
Sure.
Yes.
But then through you guys, perhaps they can do that a little bit, because I understand you visited Father Lee's grave in Tamyang County in South Cholla Province. What was that like when you went to see his grave?
It wasn't easy when we were put in the bus by the foundation, Smile Tonj Father Lee Foundation, that we are going now to check, to look at the grave. It wasn't easy. So before reaching to the grave, I was like, everybody was keeping quiet. We tried to sing some songs he used to sing for us, but the emotion was very high. So you find everybody, the tears are coming from the eyes. So we managed to go into the grave. So it wasn't easy. I was actually being appointed by our group for me to be the MC, to be calling people to give their speeches, and then to hand over the gifts that President has given Father Lee, the recognition. But it wasn't easy. But so we made it like that when we are too emotional. Yeah.
Benjamin, what about you? What kind of emotions did you feel while you were there?
In fact, I have to admit that it was one of the hardest time that I went through, especially when we were going to visit his grave. It was really very hard. I really felt heavy in my own heart because I had a friend who has been with us, and then he left Tonj. I thought that he was going to come back, because when he left a message. I was away. Then he said, when Benjamin comes back, I need him to take over the pharmacy. He never came back. Then I was coming to see his grave. It was really very hard in my own heart. As I said, actually all of us were shedding tears because we have lost a father, we have lost a friend, and we are going to see his grave. So it was actually very hard, and it's one of the moments that it's very hard to bear. Yeah, it was really so hard.
Did you have perhaps a message that you wanted to tell him, or did you make any prayers?
Definitely, the first message that was in my own heart was to come and tell him, thank you, Father. And that's why when I came, I brought my certificate, my license, that shows that I'm a qualified medical doctor. So I brought my certificate from South Sudan and then placed it on his tomb. And then I said, thank you, Father. You wanted me to become a doctor. And today, I'm proudly here standing in front of you as a doctor who is doing exactly what you have been doing, and who is doing what you wanted to do for the next generations if you had been alive. And then to tell him that your people in Tonj that you are helping all are greeting you, because we brought greetings from Tonj, especially from the people who are suffering from leprosy. There are some who are still alive and some have died. And I came also to tell him that, Father, in the same place, the same patient that we are treating, that I went myself with the team, we went to Lachuk, a place called Lachuk. We met the same patients, and they were asking that today we are so happy that you have come back. We feel that like Father John Lee has come back to life. We feel that you are now Father John Lee. We feel that Father John Lee is here with us. And so these were the messages that I came to tell Father Lee, and to tell him that he is not forgotten, and we will never forget him. And I, in particular, I will never forget him.
Albino, you must have similar sentiments as well.
Yeah, the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
You came with a group of 7, I understand, from Tonj. Do you guys see each other a lot nowadays, or do you all busy doing separate things?
No, we do the same thing together.
Together,
yeah.
Right. But it must still be amazing to see all you guys together, now living a life as adults, inspired by what he's done, you as a reporter and you as a doctor. How does it feel when you see how everyone has grown up?
All of us now, we have every December, we all meet in Tonj, because I don't actually work in Tonj, but I used to go regularly, because I work for the UN, and I'm now working as regional correspondent for UN Radio in Greater Warab. I'm working for 3 states: Gokrial, Twitch, and Tony states. So my headquarters is based in Kwajok. So whenever we go there, all of us sit together, and then we chat to one another. Some people, if they have no means of coming, they cannot make it to come. But whenever we come together, we sit together, we talk. We actually lost a lot of our people. A lot of our colleagues already now been dead during the war. Some have been killed during the ongoing conflict. Some joined the military. But few of us are there. And whenever we meet, we don't forget Father Lee. We normally think our memories. Up to now, we still have the photos when we are very young. So the memories are still alive. Yeah.
And then finally, very briefly, going forward, I mean, what are your future plans now? Let me start with you, Benjamin.
Thank you. And my future plan is to continue with the plan that the late Father Lee had, to continue to be a doctor, a good doctor, a doctor who has humanity in his own heart, a doctor who treats with smile. And the main goal, the main way to achieve this is to be a doctor, but I want to be a surgeon. And so now I'm practicing in Juba Teaching Hospital, and then also I do teaching. I teach as a teaching assistant, that is in the University of Juba as a lecturer. Okay. And so this is how I want to, and then I'm a resident of surgery, because through surgery I can help especially people with the Hansen disease, the lepers, because they need the wound to be cared for, and then they need to be amputated and this. So that's why I've chosen that to do surgery.
And you, Albino, very briefly?
I will continue working as a journalist, because Father Lee was telling us, you people, some of you become journalists, some become doctors, engineers, and so on. So I'll make sure that Lee legacy will never go away in my mind. And if God is there, you never know in future. I might have also, I will make sure that I open a radio station in Tonj. I will open a radio station in Tonj, and I name it Father Lee Radio Station. So it's going to be a big thing, but that is my dream, and I'm going to make it.
I think we can see through you too the amazing impact Father Lee had on the village of Tonj, and it's clear to me that he would have been immensely proud of both of you. You two are incredible examples to his legacy, and good luck for everything in your future. We've been speaking to journalist Athuai Albino Madhieu and Dr. Benjamin Guarken Chiman. Thank you for coming in today and sharing your stories.
Thank you so much for having us today.
Thank you.